I don't usually tell this story. My grandkids know I got stuck in a cave once, but that's about it. I never gave them the details. Never gave anyone the details, if I'm being honest. For a long time, it felt like something that didn't belong in the open air. Like it should stay buried where it happened. But I'm 84 now. And when you get to be this age, you start thinking about what stories are worth carrying to the end and which ones you're supposed to pass on. This one changed the direction of my whole life. Not in a dramatic movie kind of way. In the quiet decisions, the ones no one sees. I was 24 years old when it happened. Strong, stubborn, and convinced I had all the time in the world. It was the summer of 1966. I'd just started working full-time in road construction out in Kentucky. Long hours, loud machines, dust in your teeth every day. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. Mostly, I just felt like I was waiting for my real life to start. Back then, my weekends were for one thing: caves. Me and two buddies from work, Tommy and Ray, had gotten into caving that spring. Not the professional kind. Just three young guys with helmets, cheap lamps, and more confidence than experience. We liked the quiet of it. The cool air underground. Felt like stepping into another world where bills and bosses couldn't reach you. There was this system about an hour's drive from town. Limestone caves, mostly unexplored except for a few mapped sections. A local guy at the hardware store had told us, "You boys stay near the marked passages." We nodded like we would. We never did. That Saturday morning the sky was clear. I remember that part vividly. Sunlight on the windshield, radio low, coffee in a thermos between my knees. Just another weekend. No sense that anything important was waiting for me underground. Tommy jogged the whole drive. Ray barely talked like usual. I was in a mood. Distracted. I'd had an argument with my dad the night before. Nothing big. Just him telling me I was drifting, not building anything real. I shrugged it off, but it stuck in my head like a song you can't turn off. We parked near the tree line and hiked the last half mile in. You could feel the temperature drop as you got close to the cave mouth. That steady breath of cold air coming out, like the earth itself was exhaling. I loved that feeling. We geared up at the entrance, helmets on, lamps checked, extra batteries in Ray's pack, rope coiled, though we rarely used it properly. Tommy slapped my shoulder and said, "Let's go find something nobody's seen." That should have been a warning sign right there. The first hour inside was easy. Wide passages, high ceilings, the usual drip of mineral water echoing somewhere you couldn't place. Our lights cut tunnels through the dark, and everything beyond that beam just didn't exist. We reached a split we hadn't taken before. Left side was marked with an old reflector tag from previous explorers. Right side was low, narrow, sloping down. Tommy grinned. "Right side's more fun." Ray hesitated. "Might get tight." I remember saying, "We'll just check it out. If it closes up, we turn around." Simple rule. Always easy to say at the beginning. The passage sloped downward at a steady angle. We had to crouch, then hunch, then almost crawl. The air felt different down there. Still breathable, but heavier somehow. Like the cave had been sealed off from the rest of the world for a long time. My helmet scraped rock more than once. That chalky grinding sound echoed in my ears, but I wasn't scared. Not yet. It felt like adventure, like we were discovering something. After maybe 20 minutes, the tunnel opened slightly into a low chamber. Not tall enough to stand, but big enough to sit and take a break. We killed our lamps for a second just for fun. You ever sit in total cave darkness? It's not like night. Night has distance, stars, moonlight. This is different. It's like your eyes are closed and open at the same time. Your brain starts inventing shapes that aren't there. Tommy laughed in the dark. Ray shifted beside me. I remember thinking how small we were under all that rock. We turned the lights back on. That's when I noticed the draft. A faint breeze coming from a crack at the back of the chamber, barely wide enough to squeeze through, maybe shoulder width at most. The kind of place you have to commit once you start. Tommy saw it too. Airflow means more passage. He was already crouching toward it. Ray said, "Man, that's tight." I don't know why, but something in me didn't want to be the guy who said no. Maybe it was my dad's voice still in my head. Maybe just pride. I shrugged and said, "I'll go first." I set my back down, turned sideways, slid one arm forward into the crack. The rock was cool and damp against my cheek. The smell of wet limestone filled my nose. I exhaled to make my chest smaller and eased in another few inches. Behind me, Tommy said, "If you get stuck, we'll pull you back out." I remember laughing. I won't get stuck. Those words, they stayed with me for a long, long time. I shuffled forward on my elbows. My back scraped rock. My belt caught once and I had to twist to free it. The beam from my helmet light showed maybe 3 feet ahead. Just more rock. More narrow passage. But I could still feel that faint breeze. I kept going. After maybe 6 feet, the crack angled down slightly. That's when I felt the first pinch. My ribs pressed from both sides. Not painful, just snug. I had to push with my toes and pull with my fingertips. Behind me, their voices sounded farther away already. "You got?" Ray called. "Yeah," I said. My voice sounded strange in the tight space, flat, close. I wriggled forward again, and then the rock shifted. Not a collapse, not a crash, just a dull grinding sound like stone settling deeper into itself. But I felt it through my chest and shoulders. The space got tighter. I tried to inhale, and my ribs hit rock before my lungs filled all the way. That was the first moment, the first tiny spark of something that wasn't excitement. I stopped moving, listened, nothing. Just my own breathing, loud in my ears. Behind me, I could still see a sliver of their light through the bend in the crack. I told myself it was fine. Caves move, rock settles, happens all the time. I tried to back up an inch. My elbow wouldn't slide. I twisted my hips. My belt caught again, but worse this time. I exhaled, tried to shrink my chest, didn't move. That's when Tommy's voice came muffled. "You're still moving." I opened my mouth to answer, and for the first time in my life. My voice shook when I said, "Hang on a second." Tried to make it sound casual, like my sleeve was caught on a nail or something simple like that. But even to my own ears, it didn't sound right. My voice bounced back at me off the stone, thin and tight. Behind me, I heard Tommy shuffle closer, rock scraping on denim. His light flickered through the bend in the crack, throwing strange shadows across the limestone in front of my face. "What's up?" he asked. "Just snug," I said. "Give me a minute." I exhaled all the way until my lungs felt empty and tried to slide backward. Nothing. My chest expanded again on instinct and a rock pressed into my ribs from both sides. Not sharp, just firm, unmoving. I told myself not to rush. Caving rule number 1, panic is what gets you killed. I turned my head sideways, pressing my cheek against the cold stone to give my helmet a little more room. Tiny grains of sand crunched against my skin. I could smell the cave. Mineral, damp, old. I pushed backward with my toes. My right boot slipped on the smooth rock behind me. No leverage. Try pulling on his legs, Ray said from farther back. I felt Tommy grab my ankle. On 3, he said. 1, 2. He pulled. My body didn't move, not even a fraction of an inch. Instead, the rock along my left side ground a little deeper into my ribs, like the cave was answering back. I sucked in air too fast and my chest hit stone again. That's when the first real wave of fear hit. Not loud, not screaming, just a heavy drop in my stomach. Okay, I said, trying to breathe slower. Okay, stop pulling for a second. Tommy let go. We all went quiet. In that silence, I could hear water dripping somewhere far off, slow, steady, like a clock that didn't care about us at all. I tried moving one arm at a time. My right arm was stretched ahead of me, bent at the elbow. My left was stuck closer to my side. I wiggled my fingers. That still worked. Good sign. I shifted my hips, trying to angle my body differently. My belt buckle scraped rock. Hard. That's when I understood. It wasn't just tight. The passage had narrowed slightly when the rock settled. Just enough. My chest, my belt, and the angle of my body had locked together like a bad puzzle. How stuck are you? Ray asked. I hated that question. I don't know yet, I said. Another slow breath in, out. I closed my eyes for a second, even though it didn't change the darkness much. Think. Okay, I said. I'm going to try to go forward a little instead. Maybe it opens up. Tommy hesitated. You sure that's smart? No, I wasn't. But backward wasn't working. I pushed gently with my toes and pulled with my fingertips. My body slid forward maybe half an inch. The rock scraped across my back, snagging my shirt. Then the ceiling dipped lower. My helmet knocked against stone, forcing my chin down toward my chest. My neck twisted at an awkward angle. The air felt warmer here, stale. I stopped. That breeze we'd felt earlier, I couldn't feel it anymore. Anything? Tommy asked. It's tighter, I admitted. There it was, the truth, out loud. No one spoke for a few seconds. I tried backing up again using the new angle. I exhaled, squeezed my shoulders inward, pushed with my toes. Nothing. Instead, my right arm slid a little deeper into a groove I couldn't see. My elbow wedged. Now I couldn't pull that arm back easily either. My heart started beating harder. I could feel it against the rock under my chest. Okay, I said, voice lower now. I might actually be stuck. Ray muttered something under his breath. Tommy said, we'll get you out. Just don't freak. I wasn't planning to, but my body had other ideas. My breaths were getting shorter without me meaning to. Each inhale bumped into stone. I focused on slowing it down, in through the nose, out through the mouth. The air smelled different now, less fresh, more used. How long have we been down here? I asked. Tommy checked his watch. Couple hours maybe. That hit me. Couple hours underground already. No idea how much air moved through this passage. No idea how stable the rock was. Okay, I said. I need you to try pulling again, but slow, when I exhale. Tommy grabbed both my ankles this time. Ray braced behind him. I blew all the air out of my lungs. Now! They pulled. For a second, I felt hope. A tiny slide, maybe a quarter inch. Then my belt caught hard. The edge of the buckle dug into rock and stopped me cold. Pain shot across my hips. Stop! I gasped. They let go immediately. I hung there, chest empty, lungs screaming to breathe in, but the rock wouldn't allow a full breath. I sucked in what I could. It wasn't enough. My head felt light for a second. That's when it really sank in. I wasn't just stuck. I was wedged in a position where I couldn't take a full breath. My world shrank to 6 inches of stone in front of my face and the pressure on my ribs. Okay, Tommy said, voice tight now too. We'll get your pack off, maybe loosen you up. My pack's already off, I said. Silence again. I tried to laugh. It came out shaky. Guess I packed light today. No one laughed. I shifted my left shoulder, trying to find even a millimeter of give. My shirt bunched under my armpit, making it worse. Sweat started forming across my back despite the cold rock. My helmet light reflected off something shining in the stone ahead, a tiny crystal seam. It looked almost pretty. I hated it for being calm. Can you unbuckle your belt? Ray asked. I tried to reach down. My left hand barely made it to my waist. My fingers brushed the buckle, but there was no room to move my wrist enough to undo it. I can't get the angle, I said. Try wiggling your hips. I did. The movement just ground my belt harder into the rock. A dull ache started building in my right shoulder where it was pinned forward. Nerves waking up, complaining. How's your breathing? Tommy asked. I didn't answer right away. I didn't want to say it. Short, I finally said. That word changed the air between us. They knew. I knew. This wasn't an inconvenience anymore. This was the beginning of a real problem. I swallowed. My throat felt dry already. Okay, Tommy said, trying to sound steady. We'll figure this out. Worst case, one of us goes back for help. The thought of being left there alone, even for a good reason, sent a jolt through me. How far back are we? I asked. Maybe 40 minutes to the entrance, Ray said. Then another hike to the truck. 40 minutes. Minimum. I did the math without meaning to. I tried another slow breath. The rock didn't move, and for the first time, a thought came into my head that I didn't push away fast enough. What if I don't come out of this? I squeezed my eyes shut. No. Not there yet. But the cave around me didn't argue. It just held me tighter. I didn't say that thought out loud. You don't in moments like that. Saying it makes it real. And I was still holding on to the idea that this was a problem with a solution, not a story with an ending. Okay, I said, forcing steadiness into my voice. Let's not rush. We think. But thinking was getting harder. Every breath I took felt like trying to seep air through cloth. Not choking, not yet, just not enough. My body wanted deeper breaths, but the rock wouldn't allow it. My ribs kept hitting stone before my lungs filled. Tommy shifted behind me again. I could hear the nervous energy in the way he moved now. Faster, less careful. I'm gonna head back a bit, he said. See if we passed any side pockets. Maybe we can bring tools or something. What tools? Ray asked quietly. Anything. They were scared. I could hear it, even if they were trying to hide it for my sake. I hated being the reason for that sound. Don't both go, I said. Stay in voice range. My words echoed strangely, like the cave was swallowing the edges of them. Tommy moved away, his light fading around the bend. Ray stayed closer. I could still see his beam reflecting faintly off the rock behind my boots. Still with me? He asked. Yeah. I wasn't sure if that meant physically or mentally. Time started stretching in a way I'd never felt before. There was no sun, no shadows moving, no sense of afternoon or evening, just breaths, drips of water somewhere distant, the faint hum in my ears from my own pulse. I tried the belt again. My fingers were getting clumsier. I couldn't tell if it was nerves or less oxygen. Ray, I said, keeping my voice level, tell me about that fishing trip you took last month. He hesitated. What? Just talk. I didn't want silence. Silence let my thoughts get too loud. So he talked about the lake, about a base he almost caught. His voice shook at first, then steadied as the story took over. I focused on that, on words, on anything that wasn't the pressure on my chest. But the cave had its own rhythm. Every so often, I tried to take a bigger breath, and my body would hit the same hard limit. Each time, a tiny spark of panic lit in my gut before I forced it down. After a while, minutes, an hour, my right arm started tingling, pins and needles, blood flow getting weird. Arms going numb, I said. Want me to try pulling again? Not yet. Pulling had only wedged me deeper before. I needed smaller changes, smart changes. But my thinking felt slow, like my brain was wading through mud. I started noticing things that didn't matter. The pattern in the rock in front of my face, tiny fossil shapes, swirls of mineral. A thin crack that looked like a lightning bolt frozen in stone. I wondered how long that rock had been there. Millions of years, maybe. And here I was, a 24-year-old with plans and arguments and unfinished sentences, pinned against something that didn't even know I existed. My chest tightened, not from a stone, but from something else. Ray, I said quietly, you ever think about how fast everything goes? He didn't answer right away. Then, don't start that. I almost smiled. My dad's face drifted into my mind, clear as if he were standing in front of me. The look he'd had the night before, frustrated, worried, trying to say something he didn't have the words for. I'd rolled my eyes, told him he worried too much. Now, being in the dark, I would have given anything to hear him worry again. My breathing sped up without me noticing. Short, shallow pulls. My head felt lighter, like I'd stood up too fast. Slow down, Ray said suddenly. I am, I lied. But I wasn't. My body was trying to fight stone with air, and that wasn't a fight I could win. Talk to me, he said. Stay with me. So I talked. About nothing at first. Work, the truck, a girl I'd gone on 2 dates with and was pretending I didn't like too much. Words just to keep my mind anchored. But underneath it all, another track of thought was playing. Is this it? Not loud, not dramatic, just there. I thought dying would feel bigger, louder, sirens in your brain. This felt quiet, tight, personal. My chest started to ache from the constant half-breaths. Each inhale felt like trying to stretch a muscle that wouldn't move. My right hand went from tingling to dull. I tried to wiggle my fingers, they moved, but slower. Ray, I said, if Tommy goes for help, how long till he's back with someone? He didn't answer right away. Couple hours maybe, he said finally. A couple hours. I did the math again. Air, space, my position. I didn't know how much air was moving through that crack, if any. Didn't know if the cave had other connections. For the first time, a memory surfaced that had nothing to do with caves. I was 10 years old, lying in the grass behind our house, staring up at clouds. My mom calling me in for dinner, the smell of fried onions, the screen door creaking. It came out of nowhere, so clear it almost hurt. And with it came a feeling I didn't expect. Regret. Not about big things, not careers or dreams, small things. Times I'd been sure with people. Calls I hadn't returned. Days I rushed through like they were practice for something better. Pinned in that rock, gasping shallow air. None of the stuff I thought mattered showed up. Just faces, just moments. My eyes stung. I told myself it was dust. Still there? Ray asked. Yeah, I said, voice rough now. I'm here. But something in me had shifted. The cave wasn't just a place anymore. It was a mirror. And I couldn't look away. I don't know exactly when things shifted from fear to something quieter. At some point, the fight in me softened. Not because I wanted to die, I didn't, but because my body was tired of pushing against something that didn't move. My breaths had become small, careful seeps, each one measured, each one negotiated with the stone around my ribs. Ray kept talking, his voice the only thread tying me to the world beyond 6 inches of limestone. It echoed strange through the cave, stretched and warped, but it was there. Hello? Ray sucked in a breath. They're here! Hey, over here! Hope didn't rush in like a wave. It crept in slow, careful, like it didn't want to be wrong. More voices, a dull, steady control, not panic like ours. Lights flickered in the distance, brighter than our little lamps. Cave rescue volunteers. We'd gotten lucky. Someone at the entrance had seen Tommy come running out wild-eyed and had known exactly who to call. They worked their way down to us with a kind of calm I'll never forget. A woman's voice reached me from behind Ray. You're doing good. We're here now. I didn't feel like I was doing good. My arm was half numb. My chest ached. My thoughts floated like they belonged to someone else. But her voice, it cut through. Sir, can you move your fingers? She called. Yeah, I croaked. Good. We're going to widen the passage a little. Very carefully. You stay still. I didn't argue. I felt vibrations through the rock before I heard the tools. Gentle chipping, slow, patient. Every tap measured so nothing shifted the wrong way. Dust drifted past my face, tiny grains settling on my lips. I tasted stone. It felt like hours, might have been less. Time had lost meaning. At one point, a hand touched the sole of my boot. You're not alone, the woman said. That almost broke me. Finally, I felt something change. The pressure on my left side eased just a fraction. Okay, she said. When I tell you, exhale and don't inhale until we say. I nodded, even though she couldn't see. Ready, now. I blew all the air out of my lungs, hands pulled, but not like before. Controlled, guided. Someone else reached in from the front as space opened, helping shift my shoulder angle. For a second, nothing happened. Then, movement. My hips slid, my belt scraped free, my ribs cleared the tightest point. Air rushed into my chest so fast it hurt. They pulled me backward, inch by inch, until suddenly I was out in the small chamber we'd rested in earlier. The space felt enormous now. I rolled onto my back, my lungs dragged in huge shaking breaths. Each one felt like fire and ice at the same time. My arm tingled violently as blood returned. Tears slid into my ears, and I didn't bother hiding them. A helmeted face leaned over me. You're okay. You're out. I just nodded, staring at the ceiling of stone above me, the same rock that had almost kept me forever. The hike out was slow. They supported me on both sides. My legs worked, but they didn't feel like mine. When we stepped out of the cave entrance, the sunlight hit my eyes so hard I had to look away. I remember the smell of grass. I remember the sky looking too big. I remember thinking, I almost never saw this again. People expect that kind of story to end with something dramatic. Like I went home and changed everything overnight. It wasn't like that. I didn't become a saint. I didn't quit my job the next morning. What changed was quieter, but permanent. The first thing I did when I got home was call my dad. We didn't talk about the cave much. He just kept saying, I'm glad you're here. And for once, I didn't rush the call. After that day, time felt different. Not shorter, just more visible. Like I could see it passing instead of assuming it would always be there. I started noticing small moments, meals, conversations, sunsets I would have missed before because I was busy. I still worked hard, still paid bills, still got frustrated like anyone else. But something in me stopped living like life was rehearsal. Because in that crack in the rock with my chest pinned and air running thin, none of the stuff I thought mattered showed up. Not money, not pride, not who was right in an argument. Just people. Just chances I almost lost. So when folks ask me what it was like to almost die in that cave, I tell them the truth. It wasn't loud, it wasn't heroic, it was tight, quiet, personal, and it showed me something I wish I'd understood without needing the rock to teach it. You don't have to get trapped underground to learn what matters. You don't need the dark closing in. Pay attention now. Make the call. Say the thing. Spend the time. Because when your world shrinks down to one hard breath at a time, you'll find out real quick what was actually important all along. And I was lucky. I got to come back and live the rest of my life knowing that. Not everybody gets that chance.